The CIA, can't honestly say I'm the biggest fan of those guys. You know, they don't always do the best things, but hey, it's all in the name of American interests, right? The CIA isn't always evil 100% of the time though, just like, I don't know, 99.9% of it. Every now and then when they're not blowing our tax dollars on foreign interference, domestic interference, and literal blow in black communities, they have some very, very, very rare W's, which is what we're going to talk about today. We don't need another video on how evil the CIA is. Like, yeah, we all know. We need one that like actually talks about how the CIA helped make Halo. That's a real thing. We're going to get into that. So without further ado, here are some rare occasions where the CIA actually did something relatively beneficial. Let's start with one that genuinely doesn't get talked about enough. The CIA World Factbook is a database with a whole ton of information about almost every country in the world, with literally everything you could want to know about literally any given country. I'm talking language samples, population growth charts, all the way to infant mortality rates. This stuff's mainly useful in like research stuff, and it's updated almost weekly. Like genuinely, this is probably the best thing the CIA does with our tax dollars. Something that makes the world an actually better place and has most definitely saved people's lives before in scenarios like, I don't know, journalists prepping to go to a foreign country. Not really a whole ton more to say on this, so let's talk about something more interesting. Back during 1954, our favorite feds, in one of their many attempts to stop the spread of communism, funded the animated Animal Farm movie. On top of partially funding the movie, they also revised the script a bit, which is a tactic feds still use today. Lots of movies, when using military equipment for example, only get to do so if whatever agencies involved get to review the script and make any changes to make them look a little bit better. A more modern example of this would be the MCU getting lent almost $1 billion in military equipment in exchange for being portrayed as good and cool. So if you think you're immune to propaganda, you're not. Back on to Animal Farm though, I'm gonna call this one a W because despite the CIA sucking monkey nuts, they still haven't killed nearly as many people as communism, and Animal Farm is easily a top 5 book you read in high school. I mean, hey man, if it means getting actually good movies again, then fuck it, another $4 billion to the CIA. One of the CIA's funniest missions of all time goes by the name of Argo. This mission was eventually turned into a Ben Affleck movie in 2012. If you've never seen it, this was the actual mission. So in 1979, some Iranian terrorists captured like, I don't know, 400 something-ish people, including 6 US diplomats. Now, the feds don't exactly like it when a hostile foreign power takes some of their own dudes without asking nicely first, and the terrorists didn't exactly use their manners. So the CIA comes with this absolutely batshit crazy plot to infiltrate the US embassy the terrorists took and grab the diplomats back. The plan started with Canada giving 6 Canadian passports to trick the terrorists into thinking these guys weren't from the US. The CIA reached out to one of the guys who helped make the Planet of the Apes movies and hatched a plan to pass off the diplomats as Canadian filmmakers. The CIA then went and formed a fake film production company called Studio 6 Productions. The name is already pretty on the nose, but it just keeps getting better going forward. The studio then hosted script readings, were sent proposals from Steven Spielberg, made business cards, and a whole ton more. I mean, even the CIA said this is something that they could have turned into a pretty lucrative business venture. Studio 6 came up with the idea of a sci-fi movie set in the Middle East called Argo. Concept art was even made for this fake Argo as well. After getting approval from at the time President Jimmy Carter, 2 CIA specialists set off to Iran with tons of information on Argo to come off as real as possible. Meanwhile, Canada sent passport documents to the Canadian embassy in Iran for pickup by the 2 specialists. The 6 diplomats were given 2 days notice of their incoming rescue and managed to get an act together to pull off in that time. During the exfiltration from Iran, the entire plan almost fell apart when a mechanical error on the plane left them delayed. While waiting for repairs, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards conducted random inspections on people in the airport. So for like an hour, literally any move could have like gotten our boys most likely killed. Fortunately, repairs finished and the guards were none the wiser of who everyone was. The plane eventually took off for real and everyone made it home safe. I think this story is interesting because we always hear like absolutely batshit crazy stories about the CIA doing something stupid and like for an absolutely even dumber reason like mind control or killing American civilians. So it's cool seeing the CIA do actually like stupid spy stuff that has a positive impact. A few other cool things they've done before we talk about Halo 1 Central Intelligence Evolved. The CIA actually made the lithium-ion battery. Literally, the world would not be the same place it is today without them doing that. And I'm absolutely positive they did not make this battery for any nefarious reasons that would violate anyone's human rights, and they made it to power surveillance cameras longer. Because that's just the way it works. They're also responsible for the creation of Google Earth. The CIA wanted a more interactive 3D model of Earth, and I'm sure you can piece together why they wanted this, but their venture capital firm In-Q-Tel, who will be very important in the Halo story we're almost at, funded a company called Keyhole, the company that was actually developing the 3D Earth the CIA wanted. News of this 3D Earth eventually perked Google's ears, and since the CIA didn't actually own the technology, Google bought Keyhole and released the program under the name Google Earth. This has absolutely nothing to do with the CIA, but I think it's still funny considering the CIA's link to Halo. In 2014, Google Earth was used to promote Destiny 1 by making interactive locations of all the original planets in Destiny. I think it's just funny how many indirect connections Bungie has to the CIA. Alright, let's talk about Halo. Back in the early 2000s, the CIA wanted more combat training simulations for the military. To get this, In-Q-Tel funded a publisher called Destineer. They'd previously released a game called Close Combat First to Fight, which was made in collaboration with soldiers who had just recently been in action. So what exactly did Destineer do with all this In-Q-Tel, CIA, taxpayer money? They went to port a bunch of games over to Mac, including, but not limited to, Age of Empires, Civilization 3, Unreal Tournament 2003 and 4, and of course, Halo Combat Evolved, which is interesting when looked at in the full context of Halo CE on Mac. Halo was first shown off at Macworld 1999 as a Mac exclusive, then when Microsoft bought Bungie to make Halo an Xbox exclusive, eventually coming to PC with a port and publish from Gearbox and Microsoft, and for Mac, ported by a team called Macsoft, which was sold to a team called GT Interactive in 1996, and then sold again to Destineer in 2003 after getting the CIA money. Later that year, finally releasing Halo CE for Mac. The Halo CE CIA rabbit hole runs so deep, man, but wait, it actually goes even deeper. While I was trying to figure out how much money the CIA gave Destineer, I found In-Q-Tel's original announcement about their partnership with Destineer. In the article, they talk about how Destineer was founded by Pete Thomas? I don't know. Former vice president of none other than freaking Bungie, which explains the connection between Bungie and Destineer. Peter T went on after Destineer's closure to make 6 Days in Fallujah, that hyper-realistic war simulator from a few years back that actually released a year ago. I didn't know that, and I doubt you did either. But anyway, it literally took CIA intervention to finally get Halo CE playable on Mac. Pretty soon after, Destineer went under, so the CIA didn't exactly get anything out of this as far as I've been able to tell. So that's a nice little collection of rare CIA wins I was able to dig up. It's nice to see them actually do something good every now and then. I mean, nothing I was able to find can even remotely justify their continued existence with how much harm they've done to the world on a global scale. Just think about a Middle East if the CIA didn't exist. Wouldn't that be a utopian paradise? The whole point of this video was to try and flip the script on a usually negative subject. There are hundreds, maybe even thousands of videos on the CIA's messed up wrongdoings, not a whole ton on things they actually get right. And I think one of the reasons behind that is because the majority of the time, when the CIA does something right, we don't ever hear about it. But even in one of the world's most corrupt organizations, arguably the most corrupt, there's still some version of good to be found. And I think it's something worth talking about, no matter how exceptionally rare it is.